Hey friends, interesting little thing happened yesterday. I got a phone call from someone at the Northforker Magazine, and they wanted me to do or participate in an article about local tomatoes and what do you do with such an abundance of tomatoes. And if you live in an area that's farmland or you live in an area that grows tomatoes, you know that this time of the year everyone and their mother is growing tomatoes and there's millions of them. So what do you do with all the extras? So I'm going to give you two really easy recipes today that will make you use those tomatoes in a way that's simple and fast. Why is it that there's a specific time of the year where we just want our tomatoes and we love our tomatoes and we go after tomatoes? I mean, it's mostly in the summertime, not usually in the winter, but why do we do that? I think part of the big reason is because in the summertime, the tomatoes have a different flavor. In the wintertime, most of the time, they're garden house ripened. They're not ripened on the vine from the ground. And when you get them right from the ground and you get them ripened, there's a different flavor. So the beauty of the tomatoes in the summer really comes from the fact that they are fresh and they have a natural deliciousness to them. And that's what we're going to complement today. We're also going to take advantage of some other summer herbs that are available, like mint and basil and organic olive oil. And we're also going to use organic feta, because organic feta tastes far better than non-organic feta. So really, the seasoning is simple. Salt, pepper, olive oil, little mint, little basil, and you're gonna have the most amazing tomato salad you've ever had in your life, and the longer it sits, the better it tastes. Now, some tomatoes are beautiful and big and gorgeous, and some of them are just kind of small and scraggly and dented and discolored and bruised. And that's okay, because those are the tomatoes we're going to use for our salad. So the first recipe that we're going to make today is a simple tomato and feta salad. The second dish that we're going to focus on is this beautiful stuffed tomato with feta and basil and mint, and oh my God, you want to serve a side dish alongside your summer barbecue, this is the one. And we're going to cook that off on the barbecue. These gorgeous tomatoes, all these are Long Island grown, we're going to use to stuff. And you start off by just simply slicing off the top of the tomato. And we're going to carve out the insides. You don't want to do that. See, I screwed up there. You kind of want to go a little deeper so that you get the entire core out of there. Like that. One thing is for sure is that the mint is going to be definitely more overpowering than the basil. So you don't want to go too crazy with the mint. So whatever basil you feel comfortable putting in your dish, try to use about half that in mint. I'm using this melon scooper. Just want to scoop out the center of this. All the inside flesh comes out. I'm going to keep that in a bowl. I've drained off most of the juice from there, and now it's up to me to season it. So I'm going to add some pepper to this. This really awesome homegrown olive oil. Get the best olive oil that you can find, that you can afford, and be generous with it. Get some olive oil in there. That looks good to me, and I'm happy with that. It's got a little pepper in there, olive oil, and mint. Now, we're gonna deal with the feta cheese. Now, I don't know what feta cheese you're gonna use, and it may be saltier than mine. So you add the feta cheese first. Just cut it up into cubes. Mix it up. You can stick to whatever cheeses you want, but I think you should use feta or halloumi. And in this amount here, which was a total of 7 large tomatoes, I added about 5 ounces of feta cheese. Now I'm gonna taste it. Definitely needs more salt. Let's get a little olive oil inside this. I'm gonna salt the inside a little bit. Then we're going to stuff our tomatoes. Put the lids back on. I'm going to put a little olive oil along the outside of it. And a little salt on the outside of it. Don't go crazy, whatever sticks, sticks. A little bit of pepper. If If you're gonna bake these off in the oven, you're gonna bake them off at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. If you're not gonna bake them off in the oven, you're gonna do it like me, and you're gonna put it on the barbecue. You're gonna throw them on the barbecue. Set your barbecue to a medium-high heat so that the temperature reads at least 450 degrees. Once you put these on the barbecue, you keep that lid closed for a solid 20 minutes. Don't even touch it. Take a peek in 20 minutes. You'll probably need about another 5 minutes more after that. You don't want them to burn. The way I slice the tomatoes is I cut just under that black part, and I come down on an angle, then I just go like that, take it off. Simple. Oh, got a little rotten spot there, we'll get rid of that. These are imperfect tomatoes, and then I like to cut them into small half moons. These are some beautiful plum tomatoes from a farm stand here called Atheneu. They're Greek. They put out an amazing product. Those I cut into half moons or wedges, and then I just slice them in half. I don't want the tomatoes to be too big in my salad. I took about 4 or 5 medium-sized tomatoes. To that, I'm gonna add about 6 ounces of feta cheese, organic. Same thing with the stuffing that we used. Just gonna be light on the mint, heavier on the basil. Basically, you're looking at about a teaspoon of mint and about 2 teaspoons of fresh basil. Add a little bit of salt. Now I know how salty my feta is, so I also know how much salt it's gonna need. How much you add to it depends on how salty your feta is. To this, we're probably gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground organic black pepper. And we're gonna go heavy, 2 tablespoons at least, if not 3 tablespoons of your extra virgin quality Greek olive oil. It really doesn't get any simpler than that. I'm gonna mix this with my bare hands. You can use a spoon, but I highly recommend you don't do that. I recommend that as you mix this, you give it just a little squeeze. It's gonna release the tomatoes. It's gonna break up the feta cheese a little bit. I want my feta cheese to be crumbled in there. I want blocks of feta. I want crumbles of feta. I want the feta to incorporate itself with the tomatoes mixed in. That tomato salad will sit, and as it sits, it'll taste better. I prefer to serve that not quite at refrigerator temperature. Kind of like it to be like in the 50s. You don't want it to be too cold because then you won't taste that tomato. And if you thought tomatoes were only good for lunch and dinner, why don't you take one of those baked stuffed tomatoes, crack an egg on it, and serve it for breakfast. And it is done, and it is really that simple. Hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned, watch out for more episodes. Thank you for watching.